So once we sold the trailer, we had the cash to start looking for a four-wheel drive vehicle. We were really interested in getting a Yukon XL around 2003 or so, but almost every single one that I found was either completely trashed or way out of our budget or both. I actually did find a four-wheel drive Yukon XL, but when I went to go look at it as I'm driving to the house, I started feeling a little sketchy. As always, I looked underneath the car and noticed that the drive shaft to the front axle was missing. And when I asked him about it, he goes, "Oh, I forgot about that." I told him I'd think about it and then left. So then I started looking at Suburbans. I've always wanted an '89 Suburban. I looked around and found a really cool one, but there were some issues. The guy told me when we were test driving it that four-wheel drive worked, but I wasn't allowed to put it into four-wheel drive. He also said that he didn't know how many miles were on the engine because when he bought it, the odometer didn't work. So it was inside my budget, but unfortunately, if the four-wheel drive doesn't work and the engine needs replaced, it's now outside my budget. So that was a no-go as well. I told him I'd think about it and then left. Then I found a '92 Suburban, but when we went to go look at it, the guy told me he bought it the night before and drove it home. So when I looked underneath the Suburban, there was some oil drippage under the car. Not a good sign if it's only been there overnight. Then when I asked if it had a clean title, he said yes. So I looked at the title, but it didn't have his name on it. I started asking some questions and found out that the guy he bought it from traded it for a boat from somebody else. So not only did it not have his name, it didn't have the name of the guy he bought it from, it had the guy's name who traded it for the boat. So on this car, I decided to tell him I'd think about it and then left. Then we had a bit of success. I found a 2003 Ford Excursion with four-wheel drive. It's a 6.8 liter V10, gas. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I found out later a lot of Excursion owners like that model. It was listed for $6,000 and only had 180,000 miles on it. I met the guy and test drove it and everything went well. And when we got back from the test drive, he's like, "If you buy it today, I'll give it to you for $5,500. I didn't even have to ask him, he just brought it up. So I said yes. I called up one of my friends who's a mechanic and asked if he could do an inspection. He said yes, so I drove it straight over to his shop. Because it was going to take a couple of hours, I found a local gym and walked over to go work out while he inspected the car. I came back and he showed me the spark plugs all needed replaced, but overall, nothing was alarming. When I got home, I discovered that the previous owner's tow hitch was still connected. And not only that, it had a lock on it. There was no way to get it off without the key. So long story short, I called up the guy, but he had no idea which key it was. So I met up with him and he sent me home with a bunch of keys. I'm trying to remember why I didn't drive out to meet him in the Excursion, probably because the AC was out and it was 98 degrees, but in hindsight, it would have been smart to just drive out in the Excursion. I got home and tried all of them, but none of them worked. I said a quick prayer and asked God for help, and then I tried all the keys again just one more time just to be safe. On the last key, literally, it worked. It unlocked. So that was a huge relief. The front grille had tons of chips from driving down the road, which is normal. So I took a can of spray paint that I already had and I gave it a new coat, and that was kind of fun, just right after buying the car. Now that we had a second vehicle, it was time to sell my Kia Soul. Before I even listed it, I reached out to close friends and family, and somebody was actually interested, which was a huge blessing because we couldn't take the car with us because it couldn't go off-road. So I spent a full day cleaning, detailing it, changing the oil, and charging the AC. We were coming down to the wire, so like I said, it was a huge blessing to get that sold so quickly and so easily. A month later, we were really getting down to crunch time, as we only had 2 weeks left to be out of our rental. We'd spent several months already selling stuff, then giving stuff away, then throwing stuff away. It's a natural progression. So it's May 11th, and today's been a day. It is only 11:30 a.m. and I woke up this morning at about 6 or 7 with the worst intestinal stomach pain. I won't go into any more detail, but I thought I was gonna die. I'm sure you guys have all felt like that, but I feel like it's probably out of my system now. I think I just ate something bad, but we were supposed to move a piano this morning. I was borrowing a 2-inch ball because I don't have that size from someone else, and then I was borrowing someone else's flatbed trailer, and then I had organized a group of 3 guys to come help me move it, and had to tell them an hour before that I was dying and that we couldn't move it today. Not only that, I have someone coming over tomorrow or tonight in a couple of hours to. They're buying these side monitors here. This guy and this guy, they're the same one. And so I have to, as you can see, I need to clean all this, and I'm moving it fast so you can't see all the detail of the wreckage on my desk because we are in the process of trying to move. They're also buying the desk and this big, I think it's a 6-foot whiteboard. So I have to, in the next couple hours, get all that stuff ready, taken down. The desk actually has to be disassembled, otherwise it won't fit out the door. So it's been an interesting day, and then not only that, obviously tomorrow's Mother's Day, so we won't be able to do anything tomorrow. I'm also filming Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week, and that is also our last week to pack because the week after that we're actually taking a U-Haul up to a storage unit in Sholo. So like I said, it's been a day. I'm just going to take one thing at a time. Maybe Monday night or something like that, we can move that stinking heavy piano. This is one of those times where obviously you saw in my previous video that a little over a week ago I lost my biggest client of 5 years, so our income basically went to zero. We still have to come up with essentially $45,000 in the next 4 months if we want to have that cabin built on schedule, which means new leads and the same amount or more money than we were making before to reach that goal. So in this case, it just makes sense to start selling stuff off that's going to literally be sitting in storage for the next at least year. So why move it and store it only for it to get outdated or run the risk of breaking when we can make a little bit of extra money just to put little bits towards it, every $50 to $100 towards that cabin. It adds up. So that's what we're doing. And even though I don't like it, it's the right decision to make, and I know in hindsight I won't be upset about it. But this is just a little snippet, a few minutes into what is going on today, and hopefully we can get some of this stuff fixed and resolved, and I'll update you guys later. Do you guys all want to say hi real quick?
Hi!
What are we doing today?
We're getting a dog! Ranger!
That's right. Are you guys excited?
Yeah. Yeah! We have a collar for him, and it says... Boom! A bone! And we have a leash! It says... A bone! R-A-N...
And is it hot in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, because our air conditioning isn't working.
Well, it is working, but it doesn't have cold air conditioning, which
Yep.
is a bummer.
And how many degrees is it, Casey?
98 degrees.
So,
It's
yep.
very, very warm.
So we're gonna go in and get the dog and go home.
Yes.
Let's do it. So we had a huge blessing before we moved. At the time, our kids were in swim lessons, and one of their instructors was actually a husky breeder. I can't remember the details, but she ended up asking if we wanted a husky. Casey came home and asked me because she wasn't sure, but I didn't even hesitate. I said yes. We had actually been wanting to get a dog before we moved off grid for safety reasons and for the kids, but it was just out of our budget at the time. We went over and met the dog, and everyone loved him. The kids had a blast, and he was super kind and gentle with them. We brought him home, but the first couple of nights were really rough since he was in a new home. One of the nights he actually bit his way out of his kennel, amongst other things. We ended up having to take turns, Casey and I, sitting outside with him every night until he fell asleep. All right, Ranger, say hi. Hi, hi. Nice to meet you. I'm Ranger. And I'm very smart, but sometimes too smart for my own good. So, this is day 2. Last night, nobody slept. Ranger, he only slept for about 2 hours. Felicity got sick, started throwing up in the middle of the night. And then Casey got sick, started throwing up in the middle of the night. Ranger wasn't sleeping, Nehemiah wasn't sleeping, and I ended up not sleeping. So basically, Ranger obviously is 7 months old, and he is in a new home after being, it's not like he left his home when he was, a couple weeks old or something, or a month old. So he has 7 months of bonding with all of his dog's siblings, and especially his sister and older brother, right? So big adjustment, I understand. But he was howling all last night. The only thing that got him to go to sleep was I'd come out and sit just with him out here, so he could see that I was here and everything was okay. And I'd talk to him and try and calm him down, and then he would see that everything was fine, put his head down, and he'd go to sleep. But like a lot of infants or little kids, same thing goes for little dogs. As soon as I got up to go inside, he'd hear me. So it took about 2 or 3 times, and then finally he fell asleep for about 2 hours. But I ended up having to take care of a couple of other people in the house. Casey was still doing her best, but we had to clean up Felicity's vomit twice in her crib. She ended up just going out to the couch after that. And then by the time that was over, Ranger had only slept 2 hours and woke back up. So I came back out here between like midnight and 2 a.m., somewhere around there, to try to get him to go back to sleep again. And that took a while, and I think eventually he went down okay, but he never fully went down, so he was still howling, because I remember it as I was dozing off in bed. I think I fell asleep around 4 a.m. or something. So it was a rough night. And then he did sleep a lot of today, probably because he didn't sleep last night. But the cool thing is Eliza came out here quite a bit all throughout the day to check on him, and he was doing really well. He's starting to get more comfortable with us and be more of himself. Eliza got him to finally fetch a ball, which he was not having any part of yesterday, so that was kind of fun to see. A little bit more energetic today. So I think he's just getting used to the change and adjusting. Obviously, it's only been about 26 to 30 hours, maybe like 30 hours, in a completely new home, new family, new people, no other dogs. So that's how today went, but he is getting better. He's right here next to me. Hey, Ranger. But now we're down to about 15 days, I think, before we have to move. And less than that before we have to take a U-Haul up. I think it's like 8 or 9 days, so that's coming up quick. We finally moved the piano a couple days ago. Last night we moved the piano. I think that's why yesterday was so tough. I filmed all morning. I was driving all around town all the way out to Gold Canyon and back. Filming, came straight home, picked up the dog, got him settled in here. That was a chore and a half. With a kennel, loading him up, getting him out. He slipped out of his leash once. As soon as that was done, and it was like dinner, and then moved the piano. And then after moving the piano, I was exhausted from the whole day. And then not only that, everyone started getting sick. Ranger wasn't sleeping. I don't know if I've had a more tiring, it was more than 24 hours in a while, maybe in my life. I had to exercise a lot of patience, but it ended. I ended up getting to sleep. Slept from like 4 to 6 maybe, but then I think I slept, or maybe I slept from like 2 to 4, and I think I maybe slept from like 6 or 7 to like 8:45 or something. Maybe 6 to 8:45. So it wasn't all bad, but still like 3 to 4 hours of sleep is not, I don't do well with that. So we'll see how he does tonight. I'm really, fingers crossed, I'm just hanging out here with him tonight. We're eating popcorn, scratching his back, scratching his head, scratching his neck. Hopefully he feels more comfortable tonight and doesn't keep the whole neighborhood up howling. All in all, though, he was great with the kids and never caused any real problems. Throw the ball again.
Okay. I think Ranger had to go.
Oh, he sees the little butterfly.
I saw that.
Go, good boy.
Good boy. Next week, we're going to show you our final week's packing and our U-Haul trip up to the storage unit in Sholo right before our move. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on the bell for notifications. That way you get notified every time we drop a new vlog. If you'd like to support us financially, we have 3 membership tiers on Patreon, with the highest tier offering educational courses on firearms and fitness, with courses on preparedness and crypto coming this year. We also have the first episode of our TV show, The Shed, on Patreon as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week on Little House on the Plateau. Our kids were in swim lessons at the time. I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna have to rewind this. All right, let's hope this, oh, I didn't even check my exposure on this camera, which is way too bright. 200, half. Better, well, that's good, it's fine. It's a little bit bright on this side. It's because the light's right here. All right, we're rolling. All right. Hopefully my hair looks okay. It's at least cut.